No one cares about your story. No one cares that you grew up in the projects. No one cares that you were headed down the wrong path. Nobody cares that you got arrested. Nobody cares about your story. That's what one of my coaches said to me many years ago. And to be honest, when I was on the phone with him, I wanted to reach through the phone and choke him when he said that to me. I really did. But then he followed it up with this. He said, listen, nobody cares about your story. But what they do care about is how your story is going to help them solve a big problem, avoid the challenges that you've been through, achieve something they've never been able to achieve, or break through something that they're going through. That's why people will care about your story. That's why people will buy your books. That's why people will buy your courses. That's why people will connect with you. That's why people want to hear you speak. And I didn't realize it at that time. But maybe it's the same for you. Stop telling your story and making it about you and make it about the people that you're trying to serve. Let's talk about this coming up next. What's going on, everybody? I am Danny Stone, also known as Coach Stone, is in the building. Super excited that you tuned in for this episode of the Grind and Gratitude Show. If this is your first time tuning in, I just want to say thank you. If you're one of the thousands of listeners from over 60 countries, I just want to say, I got love for you. And if this resonates with you, then make sure that you subscribe here on YouTube or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. But forget all that. What I want to talk to you about right now is this. I meet so many people who say to me, hey, Coach Stone, I have an amazing story that I would love to share. And I'm like, cool. What do you want to say? Why are you trying to share this story? What does it mean to you and what will it mean to other people? And then what people normally say is it comes back to them. My story is so amazing. I've overcome these amount of challenges. I would never thought I could do this. And it's about them. They make the story about them. And I always say this because this is what my coach said to me many years ago. In love and respect, nobody cares about your story. No one cares about your story. You could have the best story in the world. You could have the most amazing story in the world. Nobody cares about your story. And I'm saying this with love, but so many people make it about them, and you have to make it about the people that you're trying to serve. And so what that means is, what are the lessons? What are the things that you've learned? What are the things that you are learning that is going to help somebody else avoid the same problems and challenges, achieve something great, or break through whatever it is that they're going through? That is the reason that you have to tell your story. That's the reason that you write a book. That's the reason that you start a podcast. That's the reason you stand on stage and tell your story. It is about the audience. It's about the people that you're trying to help. And a lot of people forget that part. They want to stand on stage and they want to talk about what they've been through and how amazing they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to wrap that in how does it benefit the listener? What is in it for that audience member? What are they going to take away? What can they learn from your situation or from your story? What are the lessons? What are the step-by-step instructions or process that they can use to change their life, to take their life to a next level, to break through what they're going through, to achieve things they've never been able to achieve? That's what you have to think about when you are telling your story. And I didn't always know this. I grew up in low-income housing, surrounded by drugs and crime. I was headed down the wrong path. I got arrested like 3 or 4 times before the age of 18. I had low self-esteem. I used to get picked on by drug dealers. And I just never knew that there was more available to me. But why do you care about that? Well, what happened was it was mentors and sports that really saved me. And I realized that I had to borrow somebody else's belief in me until I could believe in myself. My grandmother used to say all of these amazing things to me. You're strong enough to walk your own path. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And she would never tell me what it meant. I would say, hey, grandma, what does that mean? She was just like, you'll figure it out. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you had elders or parents or grandparents or uncles or aunts or people in your community who always used to say these little things to you, hoping that you would figure it out on your own. And that's what my grandmother did to me. And I had other coaches and mentors who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And so the reason that I tell my story is because I want you to learn how to borrow somebody else's belief in you until you can believe in yourself. And I want you to know that you have a champion inside of you. I use my story to show you that there's greatness within you, that you're capable of doing so much more in your life. And maybe you just can't see it right now. That's why I tell my story. That's why I stand on stages around the world. That's why I have this podcast. That's why I have books out. That's why I use my platforms to let people know that you have an inner champion, that you have greatness within you. And I use myself in my own journey as a way to demonstrate that you can break through challenges the same way that I could. And so what I just demonstrated there is I want you to understand that you may have an amazing story. And even if you don't think that you have an amazing story, you have so many stories that can help people. But you have to learn to tell your stories, or what I call champion stories, in a way that makes it about your audience. And so there's a whole champion story framework that I have. You can go back and listen to one of the previous podcast episodes. I'll make sure that I make a note in the comments and let you know what episode that is. But when you learn to tell stories, and you really learn to tell stories in a really powerful, emotional way, you can lead people to take inspired action. You're not just motivating them. Motivation doesn't last. Motivation is like a shower. Like you need one every day, right? Motivation doesn't last. Inspired action lasts. When you can get somebody to wake up the next day or the next week or the next month and do something different or think different or speak differently about themselves and what's possible because of the way that you told your story, now you can transform lives. Now you're changing people's perspectives. Now you're getting them to tap into their potential and unleash their inner champion. And so when my coach told me that nobody cares about my story, I was offended. I was really offended way back then. And I didn't know what he meant, but when he broke it down for me like this, I was like, oh, I get it. So many people have told me their story, and I just didn't get it. I'm like, okay, it's about you. What has it got to do with me? So I get what he was saying once he broke it down for me. And so I broke it down for you because I think that if you're an entrepreneur, I think that if you have a mission, I think if you want to serve people, I think if you want to help more people, you have to learn how to tell what I call champion stories. And you have to learn that your story is not about you. It's not about stroking your ego. It's not about making you feel good. It's not about other people cheering you on because of where you are. It's about you using your stories, your challenges, your wins, your losses, your setbacks, your victories to help other people. And when you do that, that's when you realize the impact that you can make in this world. And I teach people how to stand on stage and speak to make more impact, income, and influence. But one of the biggest things that I always tell people is you don't have to be the best speaker in the world. You could have the ums and the ahs, and you might not have the best stage presence. You might not speak with the most conviction. But if you learn to tell stories, if you learn to tell impactful stories, people will remember you. They'll remember how you made them feel. And that is powerful. So I really wanted to just have this quick kind of video with you to let you know, because I just meet a lot of people who just run up to me like, I want to write a book about my life. I want to stand on stage and talk about my life. I want to get on a podcast and talk about my story. And that's amazing. But what is in it for the listener, for the audience member, for the reader? And when you think about that and you make it about them, you are going to help so many people, including you. Because when you serve other people and when you see what that means to them and they start to change their life because of something that you said or you did or you demonstrated or you showed them or that story, it's going to lift your life up in a way that you never imagined. When I put my book, You Have the Keys, Now Drive, out there, I didn't know what it was going to do. I just thought, okay, maybe it'll help one person. And then I start getting these messages from people all around the world saying, that lesson that you taught me about your grandmother, or, that step that you talked about finding a vision, or that thing about show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. I can relate. When I started getting those messages back, I knew that I told the story in a way that it was about them. When I started standing on stages telling the different challenges that I've overcome and the lessons that I learned and how they could help you, that's when people started buying my courses and my program and joining the Champion You community. And so I'm telling you this not to brag, but I'm telling you this because I know that you can make a greater impact in the world. And it starts by learning how to tell stories so that it is about the audience. So I really hope this was helpful. If it was, please leave a comment here on YouTube, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave a review. That will help me so much. And share this with someone you love, because maybe someone you know and you love needs this message right now. So that is it from me for this episode. I just want to say thank you so much. I will catch you in the next episode. Take care.